The year was 1968, and the Vietnam War was at its peak. Deep in the dense jungles of Southeast Asia, a squad of U.S. Marines found themselves in a desperate struggle for survival. Among them was Sergeant William "Will" Hawkins, a battle-hardened leader whose sharp instincts and unwavering resolve had earned him the respect of his men. Yet even he could sense the growing tension in the air as their latest mission pushed them closer to the edge of destruction. Their orders were clear: infiltrate enemy territory, locate a hidden Viet Cong supply depot, and destroy it. Intelligence suggested the depot was supplying weapons and resources to enemy forces in the region. The mission was critical, but the odds were against them. The Viet Cong knew the terrain like the back of their hand, and the dense jungle offered countless opportunities for ambushes. As the squad moved through the thick underbrush, the sounds of the jungle enveloped them. The hum of insects, the distant calls of birds, and the occasional rustle of leaves created an eerie symphony. Will led the group, his M16 rifle at the ready, eyes scanning every shadow and movement. Behind him followed Corporal Sam Torres, the squad's radio operator, clutching the bulky PRC-25 radio pack. The rest of the squad moved in a tight formation, their faces etched with a mix of determination and fear. The first ambush came without warning. A burst of gunfire erupted from the trees, cutting through the humid air like a blade. "Cover!" Will shouted, diving behind a fallen log. The Marines returned fire, their weapons roaring in response. The firefight was chaotic, with muzzle flashes illuminating the jungle in brief, violent bursts. Will's voice cut through the noise as he barked orders, coordinating the squad's movements. After what felt like an eternity, the gunfire ceased. The Viet Cong fighters melted back into the jungle, leaving behind only silence and the lingering smell of gunpowder. The squad had taken casualties, 2 men wounded, 1 critically. Will knelt beside the injured Marine, Private First Class Andrew Miller, applying pressure to the young soldier's bleeding leg. "You're going to be okay, Miller," Will said, his voice steady despite the turmoil around him. "Torres, get on the radio and call for medevac." As Torres relayed their position to headquarters, Will assessed their situation. They were deep in enemy territory, low on supplies, and burdened with wounded. Yet turning back wasn't an option. The mission had to be completed, no matter the cost. The squad pressed on, moving cautiously through the jungle. Each step felt heavier than the last, the oppressive heat and humidity sapping their strength. The days blurred together as they navigated treacherous terrain, their progress slowed by the need to avoid enemy patrols. Nights were no better, filled with the constant fear of attack and the oppressive darkness of the jungle. It was on the 4th day that they found the supply depot. Hidden deep within a network of caves, the depot was a treasure trove of weapons, ammunition, and supplies. The Marines set to work planting explosives, each man moving with a sense of urgency. Time was of the essence. The longer they stayed, the greater the risk of being discovered. As they prepared to withdraw, the jungle erupted with noise. The Viet Cong had found them. Bullets tore through the air, and the Marines scrambled for cover. Will shouted orders, his voice hoarse from exhaustion and adrenaline. "Hold the line. Protect the wounded." The firefight was intense, the Marines fighting with everything they had. Will moved like a man possessed, firing his rifle, tossing grenades, and rallying his men. The explosions they had planted in the depot detonated, sending shockwaves through the jungle and engulfing the caves in flames. The destruction of the depot was a small victory, but it came at a heavy cost. As the Viet Cong forces closed in, Will made a decision.
"Fall back."
"Get to the extraction point," he ordered. The squad began a desperate retreat, carrying their wounded through the jungle as enemy fire rained down around them. Will stayed at the rear, covering his men and ensuring no one was left behind. When they finally reached the extraction point, a helicopter was waiting, its rotors kicking up dust and debris. The Marines piled in, their bodies battered and their spirits worn. As the helicopter lifted off, Will looked out at the burning jungle below, a mix of relief and sorrow washing over him. The squad had completed their mission, but the cost had been high. They had lost 3 men, and the survivors carried wounds, both physical and emotional, that would stay with them forever. For Will, the experience was a stark reminder of the thin line between duty and destruction, a line they had walked every day in the unforgiving jungles of Vietnam. Back at base, the surviving Marines were hailed as heroes. Yet for Will, there was little solace in their accolades. The faces of the fallen haunted his dreams, their sacrifices etched into his soul. He knew the war was far from over, and many more would be pushed to the edge of destruction before it finally came to an end. In the years that followed, Will would reflect on the mission with a mixture of pride and sorrow. It had been a testament to the resilience and bravery of the men he had served with, a story of courage in the face of insurmountable odds. And though the scars of war would never fully heal, he found peace in the knowledge that they had fought for something greater than themselves, a legacy of sacrifice and honor that would endure long after the jungle's echoes had faded.